I'm gonna like look at myself and realize that I look cuckoo bananas, but that's okay. Like there's nothing we can do about that now. It's a Vlogmas video. Like what are you gonna do? Next up, we are going to do musicians slash artists that I discovered this year slash albums that I discovered this year. Some of them are not new artists or albums, and I just discovered them this year. First on this list is, of course, Chappel Roan. Her album is by no means new, but I kind of just discovered it this year because Meatball was talking about it on Sloppy Seconds. I'm just obsessed. I cannot wait to see what she does in the coming years, or if she does anything. Maybe, you know, what we have now is all we're gonna have because she doesn't want to deal with the fan base that has really been a lot, I will say. But I love seeing it. I love seeing her call out bullshit. I love seeing her use her voice to be such a huge part of the queer community. I'm such a huge fan, and I think you all should be too. Of course, everyone knows her, everyone loves her, everyone's talked about her. I don't think I'm saying anything particularly new. Now, one thing you may be surprised to know is that I just discovered this band, I think from the 90s, called Lords of Acid, who I can only describe as a lesbian electronica band. Didn't know that that was something that I needed. It absolutely is. I'm absolutely obsessed. Don't even know if I can talk about some of the songs that they've written, but like one of them is just so good. It's just so good. I'm so obsessed. Highly recommend if you like that sort of thing, lesbian electronica. 10 out of 10. Next up we have a surprise on this list, certainly a surprise to me, and that is Linkin Park and their newest album, From Zero, which features their brand new female lead singer who is incredible. Oh my fuck. She's so good. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Highly recommend, and probably to me the song that like really shows her vocal talents is called Heavy as the Crown. She went for it, bitch, and it's so good. My mother loves that song. Like, this is good music, and I really wanted to listen to it because I was like, oh, cool. You know, this huge band that I remember, like, in high school, people loving has, like, a female-led singer now because their previous singer, you know, passed away. So I'm all about, I want to see how she does. I want to see what this sounds like. And it's so good. I just love it. And, you know, we love to see women winning. 10 out of 10. Now, next up, we have, again, not a new album by any means, but new to me. And that is the first album by Mary J. Blige called What's the 411? Now, I knew of Mary J. Blige from like the 2000s. The Mother No More Drama era is what it was called. My mother had that album, was really into that album. I think she knew her music prior to that as well, but I was kind of too young. So I kind of knew and enjoyed a lot of her music as I was growing up. But I just happened to randomly decide to like listen to the whole album. And I really found I enjoy listening to like whole albums of artists, and it's truly become one of my favorite albums of this year. Whoa! Hey babe. Oh my god, that kind of hurt, little miss. Hi. You're gonna get makeup all over you. We're gonna be done soon, okay? I know mommy's been talking a lot. I'm sorry. Uh-oh. Oh my god, wait, can you... Oh my god, she's got a kiss. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot I'm not wearing liquid lipstick. I've done that before and she's not had anything on her because it was liquid lipstick, but this is not liquid. Oh my goodness. Can I take a picture of this? Wait. Can you let mommy take a picture? Okay. No, she said no. All right. Well, the next album and artist on my list is the band Garbage. Again, another 90s kind of band. More, I would say, more alternative grunge, maybe? They were more popular in the 90s. They just released a new album this year, or they are releasing an album. I'm not quite a fan of what I've heard so far, but their original self-titled album which was just called Garbage, is amazing. And they have a song on there called Queer that is just so good. Again, 10 out of 10. Love to see it. Next up, we have Paris Hilton's latest album that came out just this year, Infinite Icon. A lot of really great songs on that album that just speak to me, that are so much fun. I have only gotten into her recently, like within the last maybe 5 years, really gotten to appreciate her. And I wasn't like into the music when I was younger the way some people were, but this album really is very good. And like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like look at myself and realize that I look cuckoo bananas, but that's okay. Like, there's nothing we can do about that now. It's a Vlogmas video. Like, what are you gonna do? Next up, we have the Boulet Brothers Halloween House Party album. What can I say? It's campy, it's fun, it's a little EP, and it's Halloween music, and who doesn't love Halloween music? Ooh, I can hear the neighbors walking around. Last on this list, we are going to talk about Samara Joy, who I discovered randomly this year. I don't even remember how. I think it was just like, Apple Music was talking about like a new song or a new album, and oh my God, I'm obsessed with her. She's a jazz singer who has this voice that feels so like nostalgic, so out of like the 1940s and 50s. It's so beautiful. If you love jazz at all, 100% recommend, 1000% recommend. It's so good. It's so poignant and soulful and it's so beautiful. I just cannot recommend her enough. Like, if I had a number one spot for like albums specifically or musicians, like, just love her work. And yeah, I have to recommend. Of the TV and film this year that I really enjoyed, we have Dragula season 666. Now, of course, I had to talk about this. I have loved Dragula since the very beginning. Something about this season has been so much fun. It's had so many amazing characters. Obviously, I talked about Asia Consent. Gray Matter, hometown hero from Houston, is amazing this season. Seeing Yuri, who is a queen from Drag Race Down Under, just all of these amazing characters this year, and getting to have Cynthia Dahl back as a exorcister has been a lot of fun. So I have to recommend as my favorite thing. Dragula this season has been so amazing. Next up for TV and film, we have, surprisingly and coincidentally, Drag Race UK season 6. What can I really say? I did not care for a lot of All Stars 9, as a lot of people didn't. I did not care for season 16, which is apparently not a popular opinion. I just didn't like it. But Drag Race UK this year was just a breath of fresh air. There was something about it that was so refreshing, and all of the queens were likable, and I just was so happy. And it definitely was a season that I think, similar to Dragula, it was like the queens that went home every week were like, yeah, that makes sense for where we are, until they got to Lil. That didn't make sense, but that's a whole other thing. But so many good queens, so much fun. Dragula and UK just really chef's kiss. 10 out of 10, no notes. This is not new, nor is this something that I discovered this year, but I did rediscover my love for it this year, and that is Veep. And oh boy, I feel like the show just feels cathartic this year, with everything that happened with the election especially. Yeah, it's just nothing new necessarily, but a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it if you've never watched it. It's one of those shows that some of the humor is not the most appropriate, so like, warning for that, but it's still a lot of fun. It's kind of like MASH, where it's had a resurgence online, but I also feel like it's kind of surprising, because I feel like there's got to be a lot of people who see that who are like, oh, it didn't age well. And it's like, yeah, well. And the last two on this list are going to be Hell of a Boss, which again was not something I discovered this year. I think I discovered it last year, but just has contributed so much to my fan work lately. I'm just such a huge fan. Well, actually, has contributed more to my fan work, but I kind of hesitate to say that Has Been was my favorite show, because haven't enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed the new episodes of Hell of a Boss. That said, I kind of lump them both together as just like really, really impactful, really, really beautiful. I've really enjoyed, especially the last 3 episodes of Hell of a Boss have been so, so good. Like the new one, Mastermind, was incredible. I almost miss doing reviews for how much I love that episode. And the episode before it, the Ghost Fuckers episode, was so, so good and so, so impactful. And we got to learn so much. And those two especially, I think, were really, really, really great to me. And I actually rewatched Full Moon, and I found that my opinion of it changed the second time I watched it. It wasn't like the Unhappy Campers episode, which did not get better with time. I think the Full Moon episode, if you skip over the angels part and you skip over the dorks part, it's actually a really fun episode, and it's not that bad. So that's really fun. Apology Tour is also one that I really, really like. So those, I think the last 3 especially were really, 9, 10, and 11 are really good. I'm looking forward to Sin Miss. I think that's going to be fun. And, oh, of course, have to talk about this. Amazing Digital Circus. That was introduced to me by the same friend who introduced me to Hell of a Boss. That show has really, really blown up. And the fact that it's now like on Netflix and YouTube, I think is really, really cool. And I hope they're making lots of money from that, because that's really fucking awesome. I think Hell of a Boss could be on Netflix, but I'm a little concerned if they did do that they would be the same issue that I have with Has-Been and Amazon. And we still don't know if it's Amazon or A24 that's like nerfing Has-Been, but it's one of the two of them. That's a whole other conversation. My favorite podcast this year. So I actually listen to only a select few podcasts. I know that sounds silly, but what can I say? I've really been loving Obituary, which is by Sigourney Beaver, one of my favorite contestants on Dragula almost ever. She's so much fun. But she decided this year to do a review podcast of Dragula season 6, and she's just had on so many amazing guests. She's been so much fun. I really, really love her, and I hope she continues to do Obituary even for not the season, because obviously that's going to be another year. I hope she doesn't just pause the podcast for a year. I mean, she'll still do YouTube, but still. Next up, we have the Law and Chaos Pod. So technically this is a podcast that I discovered through YouTube, but I actually really enjoy this podcast. Like I listen to it on YouTube, which is how I listen to a lot of podcasts these days. It's good, but it's also something that sometimes you hear it and you're like, oh, fuck. Hearing the news is just depressing, and like from a legal precedent, I don't know if that makes it better. It's interesting, and I really, really enjoy it. But it's also like one of those things that it's like you kind of have to take a step back, because it can be a lot. I think just anything right now with current events can be a lot. So next up, we have the Creatures of the Night podcast. Again, Boulay Brothers. I really, really enjoy them. I've really been enjoying Dragula. I'm so excited that they're going to be talking about the previous seasons, because I think they started their podcast around season 4, and that's when they started doing like behind the scenes podcasts. So I'm excited that they're going to be going to do 1, 2, 3. I think they already did Titans, so they're probably not going to do Titans, but I think they're going to do the first 3 seasons, which is going to be really exciting to hear them review and talk about, because I really enjoy their show. Next up, we have a podcast that I talked about a little bit earlier in this video, and that is Sloppy Seconds with Meatball and Big Dipper. Now, this is not a new podcast to me. A lot of these aren't new, actually, or new to me, but I've loved Meatball and Big Dipper since their original podcast, but that kind of went away, and then they got brought on with Mom, and that's how Sloppy Seconds came to be, and it's such a fun podcast. Highly, highly recommend. It's silly, it's campy, it's fun, and yeah. Next up, we have The Bald and the Beautiful, which is with Miss Trixie and Miss Katya. I never miss an episode. I just love them so much. Trixie and Katya are always amazing, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. They're so much fun. I love everything they do. I hope comes back, but also part of me is like, oh, maybe they need to just, take a break for a while, like Trixie did. I don't know. And the last podcast we have on this list is going to be the comment section with Drew Afualo. I really, really have enjoyed some of the queens she's had on there. She's had on Trixie. I don't remember if she's had on Katya. Maybe she has and I missed that one. But she recently had on Sasha Colby, which was amazing. I love everything that Sasha Colby does. She is just the queen of all queens to me. So loved seeing her and loved seeing that podcast. It was so, so good. So, so much fun. 100% recommend that as well. Now, I was going to talk about like my favorite video that I made this year and or my favorite art piece that I made this year. I'm not sure that I can choose. I wouldn't even begin to know what my favorite art piece that I made this year was, because I haven't made a ton of art, but I've had a lot of fun. So I don't know. You know what I think my favorite art piece will be? I really, really enjoyed when I was doing videos. I made an art piece that was so, so gorgeous. Well, actually, you know what? This one is really, really pretty to me. Oops, Rue is falling. I think I'm going to say, I know this sounds like I'm just choosing it because it's right here, but honestly, I think this is my favorite because it's so many beautiful colors to me. The like blues and this like purple and pink. There is something about this. What was this for? Was this like an Oz and Fizz thing or just an Osmodeus thing? Like a Hell of a Boss? I feel like this was for Hell of a Boss. I don't remember if it was for Oz and Fizz or just Oz, but this to me is so beautiful. And I mean, that's why it's one of the few paintings that's like in my background, because it's just so beautiful to me. And this isn't gonna stay, is it? Yeah, that's not gonna stay. I do think that's one of my favorite paintings. You can almost feels like it has like a beating heart to it. You know what I mean? Like that red almost feels magical. There's something about this that just feels otherworldly, and it's so pretty. And I think I used black light somewhere in this. So this might be black light activated too, which is even cooler. But yeah, that is definitely, I think, my favorite painting for this year. And lastly, I want to talk about one of my favorite videos. Now, I'm going to actually do something kind of silly, and I'm going to go through my videos and see which one I made this year that I would say. I'm not going to include my Vlogmas videos because I don't think, let's see. Oh, you know what? I know exactly which video is my favorite. It hasn't been seen by a lot of people for whatever reason, but I have to say my manifesting video, my video about like the truth of manifesting, when I did that like Chappel Roan look, the look was whatever, but that video was so like impactful to me personally. It was so like exploring a subject that I feel like nobody wants to talk about, and like it's just kind of like this thing that it was almost this video that I was almost a little bit worried that people would react badly to if it did get seen, because it's kind of controversial to say like, you know, hey, maybe this thing that everyone is promoting isn't as good as we say it is. Maybe it can have a dark side. Maybe it can be not great for your mental health. So it's something that was like very, very meaningful to me, and something that was going to be a whole video essay. I wrote up a video essay about it. I might still do the video essay version, but this was like more of a makeup look version. And there was just so much to it for me. So I think that has to be my favorite. And I also had a really good tangent where I talked about capitalism and billionaires and all these other things, and how I think the whole billionaire mindset part of manifestation is actually really toxic. There's just so many things. So like if you take away anything from this video of like things you'd like to see, I would love for people to watch that video, because that was a very big milestone video for me personally, and one that took a lot of, you know, vulnerability. And, you know, I was very much like being, you know, vulnerable and public with that video. So yeah. Anyway, I think that is it for my favorite things. If you enjoy any of these, I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, what are some of your favorite things that you found this year? Favorite YouTubers, musicians, podcasts, whatever that you've discovered this year that you really enjoy. I would love to hear from you guys. What are your favorite things? What are things that maybe I should look into. I didn't include books because I've mostly been reading fan fiction. And again, if you want to hear the best fan fiction that I've read this year or discovered this year, you can follow me on Patreon because I will be talking about it there. But yeah, and that is it. Okay, bye! Whee!